Here's another dream I had. This one is it's a little lengthy, but I was with a group of people, and we approached a huge gateway that was open, and we were to cross this gateway and proceed beyond it. We all did so, and the gate would slam shut behind us. The group and I proceeded on, but then I hesitated. It seemed I had a change of heart, and I clambered back over the now sealed gate and back to the other side. On the side that we all had been, that I had now clambered over the gate to return to, there was an array of monsters, wolves, and all manner of assorted beasties, and they were rapidly approaching me, and yet I lingered. An individual appeared on the other side of the gate, the safe side of the gate, if you will. I imagined that he was possibly a guide. He was rather astounded at my decision to go back and remain, even with the advancing array of horrors that were descending upon me. But sense would prevail, and so I clambered over the gate once again and onto the safe side, as it were. The guide now, if indeed he was a guide, had gone, and so had the rest of the group of people, and I was now left alone on that side of the gate, due to my delay. The monsters now were breaking through the gate. I looked about myself frantically in every direction, and I called out for assistance. I heard a very, very faint voice, which I took to be the voice of the guide, and I focused strongly to hear his words, and I followed his direction to another door, and another door that was further along, even as all these monsters were snapping and biting at me, and I had a couple of ugly-looking creatures attached to each of my hands, and I was frantically shaking to try and get them to release my hands. And I lurched to the door. I managed to shake off these creatures, and I went inside. And as I entered, I was now safe, but it was a kind of vetting chamber. It seemed to be scanning each person who passed through it to determine their sincerity and purity. And I was thinking and imagined, were one to be found wanting, the way may be denied. But in I went. It seemed I made the grade. Inside were many others, including those of the group that I was with initially, but we all looked very different now. Our bodies were very malleable, and they could change by thought. A simple thought, regardless of what it might be, could change the shape of the body. And our vehicles, our bodies, they looked strangely metallic in appearance, but they were not robotic. They seemed organic, but just in their appearance they seemed to be metallic, and we all had very different and brightly coloured hairstyles. Also, I was now a female, it would seem, and but as I considered this fact, I instantly turned into a male. So again, our bodies were responding instantly to our thinking. One person there declared how he remembered another individual in the room and how he had disliked this person, and the moment he said this, his finger became elongated like a long spear and nearly poked the unliked person in the eye. And there were others there who seemed to be a bit more informed than the rest of us, and they told us to be careful of our thoughts, that we would have to learn and exercise focus and control. It seemed to be a place, and we seemed to be a species that sat quite well with me, and I've no idea where it was, but it certainly seemed to be a better place than on the Earth. And then just before I awoke, I had an impression. So I thought to myself, as I woke up, I had an impression that this is where I could possibly end up if I had gone over the gate and through the door. But if I had remained on the other side of the gate and stayed on that side, I then had a flash of a life I would have had as a female again. But in this situation, I was in the form of a human and being subjected to rape and torment.
Okay, so that's part 2. You did part 1 last time, right?
I don't remember. I think,
Don't you remember 2 weeks ago you did part 1? It was a movie you made last time, and this is the second movie.
Okay, yeah. So we might even get a part 3 if we're very lucky or
Well, I'm
unlucky.
sure you'll keep going. Yes, you're very good at this. Yes, very good. Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. So again, we go back and forth, and so you went through the gate in the beginning, and you decided to go back. Well, this is I've seen it myself. People go back. We go back to our old attitudes, etc. And so again, the experience is demonstrating what happens when you keep going back. And it's interesting. I'll give an example of a married couple, and maybe the husband beats the wife, but and she calls the police, he's arrested, etc. But then she goes back, you see, and the same thing happens again. So it's the same with the emotional attachments and whatever and ideas. And I know it's hard, but as we keep going through it, and we have the experience and decide, we start to see more and more and more. So you're seeing more, and then you get to the next part, and yes, you have to be, you have to be of a particular. Here's the idea of sincerity, etc., to get to that next point, and that's where you're actually, you are always the decider. And so just like the experience that you're having about the woman or etc. So yeah, we make subtle choices, and that's how subtle it is. And it just can be one choice, and you're back into more lifetimes because you made the choice. It's not about good or bad or right or wrong. It's just simply choice. And this is where, again, it's about awareness. You're aware to see this and what's going on. So as you come back here, you have an objective view of this, and you look over the whole situation like a replay of something that you'd watch on TV, like a football game. So you replay it, and you have a better idea because you're always the decider. I constantly do this with myself because as we're in creation, it's a sticky wicket here. It is a toughie. It really is. Never take it for granted, because this is a tough place to deal with. And this is where most people, they don't consider that. They don't consider their ideas or their beliefs or whatever and all these attachments they have. But you see, just by simple choices, all of a sudden you're in a place that you don't want to be, and you're trying to scrape out of it. So we've all been there. We all make the choices, but you get stronger, and you become more aware also through the experiences. That's why we're in creation. So you went through a lot with that, but you came out okay. Yeah, you're still here.
Yeah, I'm still going. I'm still here. Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's a dream where once again I had another encounter with a creepy individual, much like Bobby from the previous dream that I recounted, and very much like that strange Pennywise the Clown type individual. Here was yet another one. Me and my group, again, were being chased around by this character. He was a knife-wielding individual and he seemed to be wearing a very badly made mask. It reminded me a little of Leatherface. I don't know if you've seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, but the psycho portrayed in that with his mask was very similar to this character. And as I said, I was with this group of people, and eventually we managed to escape this individual, and while we were being chased all over the place, and then we met up with an even larger group of people. At this point, we seem to have shaken off our psychotic pursuer.
Oh, this is like a daily occurrence with you, isn't it?
Yeah, spiders and psychotic pursuers.
Yes, yes. People coming into your house and whatever. Yes. Well, again, we're in creation. Everything's all over the place. Well, again, that's pretty self-explanatory. And I was just curious with your original group there, about how many are with you? Do you know? Can you see?
I would say about half a dozen, 6 or
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You don't recognize any of them?
No, they have a feeling of familiarity with me, but I couldn't place them when I come back to the physical and wake up and such.
Yeah, well, it can be the boys, it can be your other bodies, it could be many things that are interwoven, etc. And for the most part, they're there, which is they're there with you. And all of a sudden, in the last experience, they're already through the security, or the part where you went through the transition after the gate. And so again, waiting for you. But at the same time, the boys do this a lot. They don't really identify themselves. They're there. It's not about them identify themselves, because then you will many times pay more attention to them or the idea. It's like, oh, I'm with Rebazar, I'm with Paul, or whatever. And it's like, as opposed to, you can't really identify them, because it's your experience. You are to, they're setting up the experience, and you're to go through the experience, but you're the decider in the experience, just like the last one, you see. So, but we're in creation, and especially with what we're doing today, yes, many people are being assaulted and chased and whatever. I have to deal with this too, constantly, because again, they don't want us to succeed, because the world is being exposed for what it is. Those who control others are being exposed by the very fact that we're here and we're sharing. So yeah, it's a constant, and you're very aware of this. A lot of people aren't. They'll have real side experiences like that, or in their dreams, etc., and they'll have these encounters, but they won't understand what's going on because they're not aware. But you're aware. You recognize these things are assaults. So that's good too. So again, as you walk out on the street there, you don't know who's out there on the street. Everybody looks fine, but again, this is the Matrix. When you look on the real side, all of a sudden you start to see funny things that identifies these people. But again, the idea is just to let them be. But this is how creation is. So yes, again, you're having your adventures there, Mr. Kevin, and you're learning, becoming more aware. So you're becoming more abilities too, you see.
Okay, thank you for that. Here's another funny little dream I had. I was attempting to take a bath, but my attempts to do so were waylaid, because every time I removed my top, there was another one beneath. A seemingly unlimited quantity of tops, but no matter how many I removed, another one was to be found beneath. After this went on for quite a while, I went back downstairs, and there was someone there that I was speaking to about this odd phenomena. And as we discussed it, we came to the conclusion it must be some kind of glitch or bug in the simulation that we live in. And we discussed how we might rectify this eternal top issue.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it for that one. Yes.
Wow, that's a short one.
Yes.
That's really short. Okay, well, we're past an hour here, but anyhow, yeah, well, those are the tops are ideas. Okay, so you have one idea after another, and you want to take a bath, and you just, again, what is the idea of a bath? Cleaning yourself up. So, but to get in the bathtub to clean yourself up, you might say, in a way, it's just another view. Yeah, you want to take off these ideas, all right? But then another idea comes, and another idea. So there's a lot of things to go through with the personal self. That's why you go back downstairs, because that's level 1 with the personal self. So you're having a discussion about the personal self. That's what it is. It's just showing it objectively, but the real you knows what it is. But you have to deal with it. We all have to deal with our personal self. Yeah. As long as we're here, we got something to deal with it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Two more quickies then. Actually, before I say about those two dreams, in one of my dreams, I actually bumped into Alex Jones, and he was just as crazy, if not more so, on the real side than he is in the physical. But anyway, on to my dream. Gwen, Peter, and I were under attack from vampires, and they intended not to kill us, but trying to turn us into their own kind and make us vampires too. At one point, I was bitten, and the transformation into a vampire began, but I had a kind of token in my pocket, and it bore the message, 1 extra life, and so I activated it, and was unvampirized. And then we all fled, and we found a hiding place. Somebody ushered us inside, and we hid with this individual as the vampires searched. And this individual had 2 large pet pythons with them.
Oh, okay. All right, so 2 snakes there. So again, from one place to another. Well, again, it's the adventures of Kevin, isn't it?
Yeah, but we managed to evade and escape the clutches of the evil vampires.
Yes.
That's the most important thing.
Indiana Jones, yes, again. There you go. So you're on your adventure, young man. Yeah, it's self-explanatory. So you went from one place to another, and now you found somebody with 2 pythons. Well, that's the next episode, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Good luck. Okay, so you know what pythons do? They eat you. They swallow you whole.
If they're big enough, these ones were of fair size, but I don't imagine they could have eaten me. But
okay.
They might have given it a go. I don't know. They might have constricted me to death, maybe.
That's the idea. So again, we many times we run from one idea to the other, thinking that idea is better than the last one, but then all of a sudden, it just appears differently. So something along those lines. You'll figure it out. You're a smart guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure which I would prefer, being in the company of deadly constricting snakes or vampires. So that's something to be considered.
You do have a choice, yes. See, there you go. You do have a choice, yes.
Maybe I'll take door number 3 and go somewhere else instead and avoid both those situations.
Exactly. Another Monty Python movie, right? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And my final dream of the day. I encountered a group of people, and they had a very strange book. I tried to look at this book, but they wouldn't allow it for some reason, and I persisted trying to get glimpses of this book, and eventually they informed me that in this book are pictures or depictions of people who had basically failed in their awareness this time around, and I ought not to look at them. Nevertheless, I persisted, and so they allowed me my glimpse. And these individuals depicted in this book were a frightful bunch indeed. They had weird, distorted faces, elongated jaws, gaping mouths. And then I woke up, but as I woke up, one of these strange, creepy-looking, distorted-faced individuals had followed me from the real side onto the physical level, and was I couldn't see him, but I was aware of this individual, and it was biting at my leg, and for some reason I was falling back asleep as well, and I had the sense that I should not do this, and so I tried my best to wake myself up and fight off the tentacles of sleep as they tried to drag me back under again, and I was successful in getting into full waking reality again, and this individual faded away.
Well, you were looking at the book of Who's Who, right? Yeah, and so again, does this remind you of the political figures around the world, these people as an example? Yeah, how distorted they are, etc. But again, the individual comes after you. Why? Because you recognized him, and he recognized that you recognized him, so he was bothered by that, so he came after you, you see? And this is where we are today. Again, we are spied upon every moment. The Skypes are recorded here. They have all this ID, etc. All of us are spied upon every single moment. And when you start identifying them, in other words, you wanted to look at the book, you were curious, and so by the very fact that you did that, just like getting into a system here, whatever, all of a sudden you're in the system, and they recognize that you recognize them. And so again, there becomes the difference. See, they want most people not to recognize them, but you did, so one of them came after you. So and that's what we're doing here. We're aware now what's going on, so that's why you're constantly bothered, because you recognize what's going on at this level with all the controllers of the world. See? So again, those are your adventures. We're all going through it. That's just how it is in creation, because they are bothered by the fact that we don't simply completely comply with what they are deciding, because the world is tightly controlled. Yes, and we're in the prison yard. Yeah. So there you go.
Okay, and with that, I have exhausted all my dreams for today.